What it do, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy 253puretv back again with another reaction video. So today we have King Von on the channel. So we got the Traplord Ross documentary. Jesus, this is like 4 hours long, but we're not gonna react to this. But we're gonna react to some of this King Von, the rap serial killer. So we're gonna react to this Traplord Ross video. I was kind of interested in this, and I want to see with you guys what y'all think about this video. Let's get to it. We're gonna get right into it. Traplord Ross he's going crazy right now. Let's go into it.
Capone would tell 16 Shot and Visuals in an interview that if you hung around King Von in 2012, you simply had to accept that you would be in shootouts.
If you was hanging with Von, you had to accept everything that came with Von. You had to accept that you was gonna be in shootings, accept that it was gonna be that, and you had to be with it. You feel me? With Von.
King Von was on a mission in 2012 to get revenge for the friends that he had lost to the gang war. Losing OD, Platoon, and White White turned him into a demon, he said. So he would spend every day in the streets of Chicago stalking his ops and broadcasting his activities on Twitter for the whole world to see. On September the 6th, 2012, Von would get arrested, even taking selfies for Twitter inside of the cop car. He would post pictures of him and his partner in crime, T. Roy, dubbing themselves the O-Block Savages. In fact, after posting one picture together, one woman from O-Block even suggested that Von and T. Roy stop being photographed together in case somebody sends it to the police. Von would tweet how him and T. Roy's names were ringing in the streets and that people were praising them for doing their thing, regularly using this as a catchphrase to refer to his drilling, tweeting warnings to the ops that he's about to go on their block and do his thingy thing, telling them that they have 2 hours to clear the streets, and promising to blast them on sight. Von would even reflect on a conversation that he had had with T. Roy, saying that they can't die soon because they know they're going to hell for all the bad things they had done in the streets. Von would even openly tweet about shooting up Dunbar High School around this time. And unsurprisingly, he would continue to be in the eyes of the law, being picked up in October for battery. But little did the police know just how serious Von's crimes were about to get in the coming weeks. On the 13th of October 2012, Von tweeted that he is about to pop these pills and spaz out on somebody, expressing frustration that he hasn't taken anybody down for a while and saying that he's getting dry. Perhaps a tweet with a double meaning that could refer to sex or murder. That very same day, Von would tweet that his ops party tonight is getting cancelled. Later, Von is tweeting asking for somebody to come and get him. And 30 minutes later, Von tweets simply, "Ha," followed by 45 Glock me. That very night of October the 13th, 2012, Modell, that same teen who had found the body of his cousin King Doc dead just 6 months before, would be walking down the street with another one of his cousins on their way to meet a girl, when just before 9:30 p.m, somebody approached them on foot, opening fire. Modell would be shot in the chest and later pronounced dead in hospital. No one was ever charged with this murder or attempted murder, but many years later, police documents would be released revealing that King Von himself was positively identified by a witness as the shooter, with T. Roy apparently at the scene too. This meant that King Von was the prime suspect in the murder. And not only that, but King Von would tweet immediately after the killing. Now, it's important to remember that Twitter timestamps run on Universal Coordinated Time. That's the same as UK time, and that's where I'm reading these tweets from, which is 6 hours ahead of Chicago time. So for me to get the exact time of a tweet that was made by King Von or KI or somebody else in Chicago, I have to take the time that it shows on Twitter and -6. I'm telling you this because Modell was shot at around 9:30 p.m. That means that King Von tweeted who died about 17 minutes after the murder of Modell took place. And that tweet was followed by yet another one reading, "It's not safe around our way," which came less than an hour after the shooting. And Von's "who died" tweet would provoke responses from somebody who even knew Modell, with Von saying that the dead person...
Von used to be a troll. I ain't gonna lie to you, y'all. Von was a troll. He trolled the fuck out of his ops. He was trolling them and talking to them, having a regular conversation. R.I.P. King Von, man. That nigga was a troll, and he was talented in music, man. But he was funny, though. Look at all these tweets. You read this? Who died? Replying to EBT Rasta, you, F-Roy, Tutu Gang. Oh, Tutu Gang, that's Tuka. That's, nah, I ain't dead. That's somebody you know, homie. King Von said, somebody innocent, you capping, homie. Who that? Up. King Von's a troll. on Twitter. People were going crazy on Twitter back in the day. King Von was going crazy on Twitter.
And
2012. I didn't even have a Twitter
know.
back in 2012.
In addition to that exchange, the female shooter from Tukaville, KI, would end up getting arrested not long after this for apparently shooting indiscriminately into O Block, hoping to kill anybody in retaliation for Modell. None of this seemed to bother King Von, however, as he clearly got a lot of satisfaction out of having seemingly killed again. The day after the murder of Modell, Von would tweet that him and T-Roy have a problem and that they can't stop doing their thingy thing. Von would tweet that the streets are in trouble when he's coming, and he would brush off the cops' attempts to arrest him. In fact, only 2 days after the killing, he would get into an argument with a well-known Tukaville GD known as Wooski on Twitter. Wooski had inferred that he had been out looking to catch Von that day, asking him where they were at, with Von leaving a heartless reply saying that he was getting t-shirts made for Modell's funeral. Unsurprisingly, Von would find himself on the radar of the police following the murder of Modell, getting picked up for unlawful possession of a firearm and being questioned in October 2012, with Von later tweeting that the cops grabbed him and warned him to be careful. Apparently the cops even told Von that when they question their ops, they all talk about him and T-Roy, suggesting that their names are feared in the streets. Von would even tweet after that his own mother was beginning to hear the rumors about his violent behavior in the streets, and she was trying to put him on punishment. But Von wasn't deterred, and he kept using Twitter to increase his reputation as a killer. The following month, Von would be sending unprovoked Twitter ats at Wooski, asking if he knew who killed Modell, provoking responses from numerous ops who wanted to see Von dead, including Wooski and KI. And to me, this is where we see King Von really beginning to take pleasure in killing. For years to come, he would tweet mocking Modell, saying it's messed up what happened to him and that he's a straight sucker. It's this sort of behavior where I believe that Von crosses the line from a normal gangbanger killing to survive to a full-blown serial killer who is taking the lives of others systemically for his own personal gratification. At this point, Von has already satisfied the conditions of being a serial killer, having allegedly killed more than 3 people in different locations with large periods of time in between the killings. And his tweets express a clear tendency to take pleasure in killing and a desire to show the world what he's doing. In a way, King Von's purpose in life at this point in time wasn't just revenge and murder for sport. It was about doing these crimes and giving the world clues about what he had done. And as the story goes on, you'll see King Von constantly hint towards his crimes on social media, in his even on television. But now the pattern had emerged, and Von clearly had a thirst for blood. He was becoming a talented shooter and not facing any consequences for these crimes. And so, in the coming months, Von would be rumored to have been connected to at least 3 more murders, with the police only catching up to him when it was too late. In late 2012, Von was earning a reputation as a feared shooter in the Chicago gang wars, something he would be more than happy to broadcast to the world. Von would be seen in clips posted to social media, sliding in cars with his partner in crime T-Roy and others, throwing up gang signs and saying that they're smoking Tuka.
Yeah. Look. Zico. Both of the Zardells.
And he'd be seen with his boys mobbing deep in trap houses. And Von would even broadcast his activities rolling with the gang to the local store. Von was surprisingly open about his gangbanging life on social media, and he would be particularly active on Twitter during these violent months. He would tweet openly that he was planning to shoot at random people in traffic. He would tweet that he is STLK, or a St. Lawrence killer, and interestingly, around these times, on the 18th of October 2012, O-Block native Chief Keef would release his hit song Love Sosa, a legendary Chicago drill anthem with lyrics about killing people for disrespecting O-Block. At this point in 2012, Chief Keef had become a global rap star off the back of his single I Don't Like, which was given an all-star remix by Kanye West, and ended up landing at number 73 on the Billboard charts. That song had lyrics about the gang wars in Chicago and lives being lost, and Chief Keef's music was becoming legendary for painting a picture of reality on Chicago's most dangerous block. Of course, who could forget Chief Keef's classic anthem 300, a song with lines all about the young'uns on his block gunning people down, and a track that made it famous to diss Tuka, with Black Disciple rappers beginning a trend of saying that they're smoking on Tuka, a sign of disrespect to Shondale Gregory, who had been killed in 2011. Now, King Von himself had an interesting relationship with Chief Keef's music. Von would tweet that him and T-Roy are the real-life people who these rappers are making their songs about. Von seemed proud of his career as a real gangster, the true story behind Chicago drill music. In fact, it seemed from his tweets that he took great pride in this. He would regularly quote lyrics from drill songs by Chief Keef and others, and he would continue with tweets expressing his intentions to shoot up the ops. In one, he says he just got a new gun and can't wait to use it, and he even claimed in one tweet to have shot a woman by mistake trying to shoot at a man, ending the tweet saying, "I don't care, same thing to me." It seems that Von really had to tweet pretty much any street activity that he was involved in during this time. He would tweet that he hasn't touched or seen a revolver in a while, and on October the 29th, Von would tweet saying that he was avoiding T-Roy because he was winning, presumably referring to T-Roy having a superior kill counter. So Von would tweet literally saying that he was trying to catch up with T-Roy's kill counter, saying, "Give me until Friday." And just the day after this tweet, he would find what he was looking for. On October the 30th, Von would tweet that it's his main man T-Roy's birthday. And later that day, Von tweeted that he was drilling like OD. At 8:45 a.m., Von tweeted, "Check the stats," a reference to who has the most bodies in the ongoing gang war. According to the police, less than 30 minutes after this tweet was made, at around 9:13 a.m., P5, aka Crack, real name Derek Johnson, would be shot multiple times in the 6200 block of South Eberhart Avenue. The 23-year-old was rushed to the hospital, but pronounced dead at 9:54 a.m. The incident report would record the time of the shooting as 9:13 a.m. in the Chicago time zone, which on Twitter, for me, would display as 3:13 p.m. That means that just 3 minutes before the recorded time of the shooting, Von tweeted, "Laughing my ass off." Then, at 9:13, the time that the police estimated the shooting took place, Von tweets his 45 makes his ass do 40 flips. And then, only a few hours after this early morning murder, just after noon, Von would tweet the early bird catches the worm, and then going on to tweet about ops making the news, saying that he does his thingy thang for real, saying that he erases people like he drew them, and tweeting that his ops aren't trying to win like he is, and saying that he is doing this for OD, Platoon, Sheroid, and White White. Von would claim to be finding a lot of things funny that evening, once again tweeting numerous times that his 40 made someone do 40 flips. As the days went by, Von's tweets would get even more bold. Just the day after the murder, he would tweet pondering whether he was messed up in the head and indicating that he thinks he's gone crazy. Things would get even more incriminating just 2 days later when Von put out a tweet reading, "Damn, Modell got killed in October, and Crack, who's going to get killed in November? Stay tuned." And he would tweet RIP Crack and Modell, as well as tweeting asking when the funeral is. Von would even reply to KI and Wooski, who tweeted each other about going to a funeral, with Von saying that he was on his way too, and even offering them a ride. Von also tweeted at Wooski, asking if he knows who made Modell World or Crack Crew, another reference to crews renaming themselves after a fallen member who's passed away. Now at this point, Von is establishing a clear pattern, getting the location of his targets, shooting them dead, and then celebrating publicly on Twitter. And within only a few weeks of the P5 incident, yet another high-profile murder would take place, with Von's involvement having been debatable, but his Twitter account telling a very different story. In November 2012, King Von would be tweeting openly about killing. He'd say that he was the go-to guy for hits in his area. He'd also say that he was the captain of the drill team, tweeting about murder and homicide, saying that he's a hitter by himself, and that the whole of O-Block are coming for their ops. He would even tweet that he was sacrificing people, as well as bizarre tweets about how much he liked cereal, something that I personally believe was a coded message indicating that Von was beginning to see himself as a serial killer, something that he would continue to do throughout his career. From here, Von would continue tweeting about wanting to shoot his ops in the face and get up close and personal, alluding to committing murder and tweeting that he had big balls and does things that other people would only dream of doing. King Von would boldly tweet that he will never get convicted of a murder, saying that he would never set himself up to go down for a body. He would mock his ops, saying some make it out alive and some make it onto the news and die. Also during this time, Von would even react to Barack Obama winning the 2012 election, something ironic considering the fact that Michelle Obama apparently also hailed from O-Block. But even in celebrating this monumental news, Von would also tweet that a black president with ties to his city simply wouldn't stop him from killing his ops. On November the 7th, 2012, Von would tweet about bodies dropping and beating the case. Later that evening, he would tweet that he was out sliding with T. Roy, who he himself would also tweet saying that he's about to go and get his gun, before replying to KI, who had just tweeted a list of a bunch of names of people associated with O-Block who had been killed. With
I'm not gonna lie, King Von was a demon. Like, I remember that time, King Von, all these tweets he's doing is like, it's kind of like boosting his ego. Like, all these tweets talking about him eating cereal. Dude was obviously trolling. He was trolling his ops, bro. he tweeted, "I'm eating cereal." Like, come on now. He was tweeting. He was fucking joking with his ops and really sliding though. He was really saying what he was really doing in those music. He was really true. Like all them lyrics, it was true. Like the Feds say if he was alive, he would have got life in prison for all those people he killed, all those cold cases they couldn't solve. It's Tutu Gang, Jaja, Model, Dell. So it's kind of crazy. I remember 2012 too when Barack Obama won presidency. That's a different topic. I remember that time, November 5th. That's when I got my. I went to Walgreens in Kent and got my passport photo. The time that King Von was tweeting all this stuff and killing people and shit, and he was like 16. Wait, I was 15. So he was like 18 or some shit like that. Still a teenager. 2012. That day, I wish I still had my passport photo back in the day. I'll show you what I looked like when I was 2012. But let's get back into the video, y'all.
Roy retaliating, providing his own list of people from KI's hood who they had apparently killed, as well as tweeting #bang just after midnight. Then, the following morning, the news would report on the shooting of a 17-year-old by the name of Rodney Stewart, aka Boss Trell. Boss Trell had been found with a gunshot wound to the head around 6:50 a.m. and was immediately rushed to hospital. And he would even remain alive for several hours, during which time he was visited by friends from the neighborhood like FBG Cash. But while Boss Trell was in the hospital fighting for his life, Von and T-Roy would be tweeting. T-Roy tweeted "man down" only hours after the body was discovered, with Von tweeting #thestruggle, prompting T-Roy to infer that Von was behaving like the police. Von would follow up on this tweet, saying that people aren't dying on time, and T-Roy would also tweet mockingly, saying "no, Trell, stay alive." Then, in since-deleted tweets, allegedly by King Von, he would suggest that he had actually spent the day trying to get KI on the phone. However, Boss Trell would be pronounced dead that night at 11:30 p.m. on the 8th of November 2012, and the following day, King Von would take to Twitter once again to mock Boss Trell and his ops. He would tweet that STL doesn't stand for St. Lawrence, but instead for steady taking L's. Another tweet would drop with King Von telling people, "Don't worry about who killed who, just be glad that you didn't get killed and shut up." This was followed by another tweet aimed at Boss Trell, saying, "Lol, you ain't a boss to me." Many theories suggested that T-Roy and Von, and possibly others, were involved in this murder. Some have said that it was T-Roy, others have said that it's Von, or potentially even the two of them together. But it is worth mentioning that there's an alternative theory that Boss Trell was actually murdered by someone completely unrelated to this feud, who was apparently trying to retrieve a gun that had been taken from him. But regardless of who was responsible, Von and T-Roy were certainly happy to see Boss Trell gone, and they would continue to tweet boldly about it publicly. Their ops on Twitter would warn T-Roy over the disrespect, but for King Von, tweeting about the murders going on in the streets was a must. Von would post saying that the ops are dying frequently and that he doesn't plan on slowing down. He would say that he would kill an op anywhere, and once again reference cereal, saying that he eats cereal after shooting people, another hint in the ongoing joke that Von is indeed becoming a serial killer. Von would even mock the ops for having funerals. He simply didn't care what anybody thought. It seemed that Von was hell-bent on killing his enemies, and he would be hell-bent on tweeting every single time something negative occurred in the streets. However, Von's days would be numbered, and following the next hit that he was implicated in, he would tweet once again, perhaps a little too recklessly this time, finding himself behind bars for over a year. After the deaths of Modell, P5 and Boss Trell, you would think that King Von would have kept a low profile, but no, he would continue to tweet suspiciously while the killing continued. However, when the next person lost their life, King Von's tweets would go to a whole nother level of self-incrimination, and he would actually find himself on the wrong side of the law. On the 19th of November 2012, 32-year-old man named James Holman, aka Lil James, would be standing on his porch on the 6000 block of South Michigan Avenue around 8:20 p.m. At this point, 4 people would approach his property, opening fire, shooting him in both the arm and chest, with him being pronounced dead in hospital less than an hour later. Only 23 minutes after this murder, Von would tweet, "Man, not on anything," followed by another tweet reading, "clown ass." Von was mocking somebody, but we didn't know who or what for. Meanwhile, T-Roy would put out a tweet asking if somebody got shot yesterday. And then, only 6 hours after the shooting, Von would tweet that he kills GDs often. And then, in another rare deleted tweet that somebody else from O-Block quote tweeted just 21 minutes later, Von would apparently brag that he has killed 5 GDs and shot 10. With a later news article even confirming that James Holman, the man who was killed most recently, was indeed a gangster disciple. Furthermore, a police report on the Lil James murder would describe the shooter's height and build, which apparently matched Von's description. Now, Von tweeting that he had killed 5 GDs after the death of Lil James is particularly interesting, because there's always been a lot of speculation on exactly how many people Von had killed and who specifically he was responsible for killing. And at this point in time, Von had been associated with 6 murders in total. So if Von himself is apparently confessing that he has killed 5 people at this point, then it's likely that just one of these murders he had nothing to do with. From here, Von would continue to tweet throughout the day, saying things like, "Dissing him will get your people killed," and another asking openly who made Crack Block, another reference to the murder of Crack, or P5. Unsurprisingly, the authorities would catch up with Von just 3 days after the murder of Lil James. Perhaps they'd read his tweets. Von's capture would be confirmed by a tweet from his sister from his own Twitter account saying that he would be in jail for Thanksgiving, with Von's charges later being revealed as unlawful possession of a firearm. Numerous mugshots of Von would later circulate online, and Von would end up in jail for over a year, for a period spanning from November 2012 to February 2014. And in the meantime, his mother, sister, and friends would all tweet from his Twitter account calling for Von's freedom and keeping his name alive. However, Von's sister would also tweet that Von told her that when he gets out of jail, he's just planning on killing more people. And ultimately, none of the more serious charges would even stick to Von, and he would eventually end up being released back onto the streets of O-Block, where he would, as expected, immediately get back to doing what he loved, drilling and then tweeting about it.
Yeah, 24 is a little more. I know a little more.
King Von's sister would announce from his Twitter account on February the 11th, 2014, that he would be home from jail tomorrow, with footage of Von cutting off his ankle monitor and throwing up gang signs circulating online after his release. When he got back out, he would be back on the streets and involving himself in gang politics once again. His first tweet out was dissing the ops, of course. He would also openly wonder where T-Roy went, as apparently his partner in crime had ended up in jail himself during this time. Also upon his release, Von would also tweet at famous names in the Chicago drill scene like Boss Top, Lil Reese, Chief Keef, E-Day, Rondo No. 9, and Capo. He would then go on to diss 2 people that he allegedly killed, Modell and Crack, but at least initially, it didn't appear that Von was able to commit any more acts of violence, because apparently, following his release, he would wind up on house arrest for a short period. But that didn't stop him from posting pictures of himself at home, dissing Tuka with a gun sticking out of his pocket. Pictures of Von with famous BD hitters like T-Roy and D-Rose would circulate around this time, with the likes of Chief Keef even reposting them as a sign of respect for the most feared local shooters, with Von also sharing pictures of his crew to Twitter openly, with the caption simply reading, "gang members." Von would also tweet about it being a very scary year for the ops, even tweeting disrespectful collages featuring photographs of rivals who had been killed recently. Von didn't care one bit what he was posting on Twitter. And honestly, it didn't seem like the police cared either. Von tweeted openly that he would kill someone on St. Lawrence, promising to shoot ops in the face and kill them fast, dropping mocking tweets about people he had allegedly killed, like Modell. He would pledge to drop even more bodies, even tweeting that he was shooting as soon as he got off house arrest, and tweeting that he just got a new gun and he wanted to do a drive-by with it. Now, on March the 25th, 2014, GD rapper Lil Mark, associated with a crew called 051, would drop a song called No Competition. This would be a remix of Black Disciple rappers Lil Durk and Lil Reese's 2013 song Competition. Lil Mark would essentially use Lil Durk's beat to diss him and his OTF crew from Lamron. But it wasn't just Durk that was getting dissed. Lil Mark would diss numerous people associated with the Black Disciples, including people from both O-Block and an affiliated crew of BDs known as 600. Lil Mark's song would mock OD Perry and J Money and see him rapping openly that he is a Black Disciple killer, as well as proudly repping his affiliations to his gang set 051 Young Money. This song made Lil Mark a huge target for both O-Block and 600. And around this period, King Von would frequently tweet that he was in traffic, riding around the city, armed and looking for ops to kill. On March the 28th, 2014, Von would tweet that he was in traffic, tagging D-Rose, an infamous shooter from the O-Block affiliated set 600, with D-Rose himself tweeting that the cops hate to see Von, T-Roy, and him all together. Von would tweet gunshot emojis around 10 AM on the 28th of March 2014. And only a few hours later, that very same day, around 1:30 PM, it's believed that a large group of gang members were riding around in a silver minivan with Florida license plates, most likely a stolen car. Meanwhile, the 20-year-old Mark Campbell, aka Lil Mark, was at a bus stop on the 300 block of East 51st Street. It's believed that that minivan pulled up and a masked man jumped out, shooting Lil Mark in the head, with Mark ultimately being pronounced dead at the scene only minutes later at 1:41 PM, and that minivan connected to the shooting being found in flames at 6:30 PM that very night. It's widely believed that D-Rose was the shooter, with King Von being present for this murder. D-Rose even posted a clip to social media of him and his friends returning to the scene of the crime and filming, where King Von can allegedly be heard in the background of the car.
Hey, it's a 251st. Damn, body down. Oh, not those things. No. Tweaking, bro.
They're actually there.
Body down. 51st gang. Man,
D Rose would tweet, "Call 'em, never heard of 'em," with a laughing face just 36 minutes after the killing. King Von would tweet, just 42 minutes after the shooting, "Die why?"
Die
with a
why
bunch of
means like
laughing
Young Money.
faces, with this being a sign of disrespect to Lil Mark's gang 051 Young Money. That tweet was then followed by Von saying 051 better keep their head up, with a bunch of laughing emojis. Then he says he lives for this, F the ops. And just in case there was any doubt about King Von being present for that murder, he would also reply to somebody on Twitter discussing Lil Mark, saying outright he just saw the murder, with King Von going on to tweet at other O-Block affiliates that they would be celebrating that night. Von was speaking so recklessly on Twitter, his sister would even tell him to go in the house, with a defiant Von replying to her with gunshot and demon emojis, then tweeting that Lil Mark's death was getting him attention from women, even going as far to say that Lil Mark's pregnant girlfriend might have cheated on him, followed by another tweet a few days later where Von claimed that he leaves people dead at the bus stop just like Tuka, a tweet that's even more disrespectful when you learn that Lil Mark was actually Tuka's older brother. D Rose would also tweet the day after the murder saying you ain't gotta ask who shot him, indicating that he was indeed the shooter of Lil Mark, as well as proudly saying that he was smoking on Marco. But Von and D Rose weren't the only ones celebrating the death of Lil Mark, because Lil Durk, the original subject of Lil Mark's diss song No Competition, released just 3 days before he was killed, would end up making a trip to the very bus stop where Mark was gunned down, with Durk telling his followers that this was a very special place.
Hey, this bus stop right here, though.
I seen this.
This is a real famous place.
I seen this.
This is a real famous place, B. Hey, this bus stop is a real famous place, B.
I seen this
Because of
already.
all of the
I
attention
seen
from
this
rappers
shit.
about this incident, Lil Mark's
Mark,
death became news
Mark,
beyond the local
Mark,
Chicago
bullshit
papers,
back
with this
in the day,
killing
man.
taking place during the heyday
Bullshit.
of DJ Academic's War in Chirac series, where Academics would report satirically on the Chicago drill scene and the shocking crimes going on within it. King Von himself would even go on to rap about killing people at bus stops many years later, as well as on the song Exposing Me, where he says that he is smoking Lil Mark and Tuka. And Lil Durk would go on to do the same thing, rapping in the December 2014 track War with E-Day 600, also saying that he is smoking Lil Mark and Tuka. Now, it's never been definitively confirmed who killed Lil Mark, but it's widely believed that the two most likely hitters are D Rose or King Von. But whether or not King Von actually did it, he clearly got a lot of gratification from just witnessing this murder, further fueling this strange bloodlust that he was cultivating around this time. If he wasn't the one killing, then he would at least want a front row seat and an opportunity to tweet about it. However, it would be the next murder that would seemingly be Von's most proud moment in the streets, because he would end up finally catching somebody who he had wanted to get for years, leaving clues on Twitter all the way up to the killing. And then, in an insanely twisted turn, not only would Von get away with the murder, but he would go on to appear in a documentary interview about the victim without anybody even working out that the killer that they were looking for was sitting right in front of the camera.
That's why I spilled my lean. I had a whole cup. That's what I'm saying. Like 2 weeks. That's why I should have put it back.
17-year-old gangster disciple Jakira Barnes, aka K.I., was a legendary figure in Chicago gang history, with the Chicago Sun-Times describing her in a prominent feature as a prolific female assassin in the Chicago gang war. K.I. has been described as the real-life Snoop from The Wire, a reference to the masculine female killer from HBO's crime drama. K.I. herself had been close with Tuka growing up, and her rumored involvement in the killing of O.D. Perry in retaliation would make her feud with O-Block deeply personal. No doubt, King Von was obsessed with K.I. Von and K.I. would have extensive back and forths on Twitter, with it being unclear whether he was trying to date her or kill her.
K.I. was crazy.
Their first interaction occurred on September 25th, 2012, when Von would tweet claiming to have beaten up an op girl on the train, with K.I. replying to this saying their arm, ear and face were injured, but she's not bothered because her gun will put a hole in her ops' faces, with the tweet the following day indicating that she had perhaps shot at Von or somebody that he knows. They would go on to have a back and forth, with Von asking K.I. if she's a gangster or a bitch, with K.I. indicating that she is indeed a real gangster. Von would go on to reply to her posts shouting out her gang, asking her why he never sees her when he spins the block, with K.I. replying that Von can die just like White White, with Von saying she better kill him because he will kill her and she doesn't have the good aim like he does. That same day, K.I. would tell her followers to retweet if they think she looks good. King Von retweeted it. K.I. would tweet saying that she'd beaten up someone from O-Block and that they should go and tell Von that she is tough. This would prompt a reply from Von, where he would say he can tell that she's tough, and jokingly asking her if she's looking for a boyfriend. as well as expressing doubt that she had even beat up his
smash
friend,
her.
with her
He was
replying
trying to
saying
smash
she
her and
caught
kill
an
her.
O-Block member on the train who had denied being from there when beaten up, with King Von's sister chiming in claiming to have been there too, and KI saying that her victim didn't even punch her back. All this provoked a sarcastic reply from Von, where he said that he thinks he was falling in love with this fighting female. Von would later post tweets where he said that he's going to treat her right if she becomes his wifey, and later beginning to regularly refer to her as wifey. When KI replied to Von would say that he has her on his mind a lot and that he misses her, even telling his sister that he wanted to marry KI. Now, many years later, somebody on 4chan would claim to have hacked KI's private DMs on Twitter, and revealing that around this time, Von had DM'd KI asking her if she wanted to hook up, or more specifically saying he wants to nail her. She would reply saying she's not interested, to which Von replies, when all of this is over, he will have her. More alleged tweets would see KI asking Von straight up if O-Block are plotting to kill her, to which Von replies, he's not going to lie, there are people looking to kill her. But Von would say he doesn't think he can kill her because he thinks she seems cool as hell, even having the nerve to ask her when she's going to stop gangbanging. KI would reply saying she's not going to stop, calling King Von a goofy and asking him when he's going to stop. Von would laugh and tell her that he's gangbanging until he dies and that he will never lose or quit, with KI ultimately agreeing with this and saying that she's planning the same thing, before mocking Von, saying he must feel really threatened by her, and questioning if he really thinks they can kill her. Von replies saying that they're trying to kill anyone, they're not just desperate for her specifically, before revealing that he had apparently had his gun on him when he beat her up on the train, but saying he didn't kill her because the police were there along with a woman from his block, with Von saying that if he really wanted to kill her, he would have took his chances and shot her in the train or the street. In response to this, KI would reply, come and get it, because she's ready to go to war with anyone, with Von clapping back, questioning why she takes things so seriously. After this alleged private exchange, Von would reply to a public tweet of hers dissing OD Perry and reminding her that he beat her up, even saying that he wishes he'd spat on her afterwards. Now, Von began to use KI pretty much for entertainment, beefing her on Twitter whenever he was bored, but KI would be looking for Von in real life, however. Von would tweet that he has his ops scared at the corner store, and KI would reply saying that she's on the way looking for him. Also tweeting asking where he is, with Von replying sarcastically telling her to be safe in the streets. More alleged leaked DMs between KI and Von would emerge, with KI asking Von where he was, with the two of them seemingly arranging a shootout, with KI even asking if T-Roy can come too. KI later claimed to have walked through O-Block and not seen a soul, with Von saying that they're too busy to have a shootout right now. Von would later allegedly DM KI, telling her to call him when she's ready to put a dress on and let her hair down. They'd keep going back and forth on Twitter publicly, building up this insane public history. KI tweeted that she was going to the store, and Von would warn her not to. Von would tweet reminding her that he had beaten her up on the train, with her saying that he's been hiding ever since. Von would clap back, asking when she's coming back to his block for a date, and KI would then remind Von of all the times that people from her side had beaten him up. Other O-Block members would tweet their intentions to kill KI too, and she would tweet that she wants to see King Von face to face. Von would reply, she really doesn't. One tweet would see Von say that he'd spent all day trying to get KI on the phone and that her voice sounded sexy. Even after Von went to jail in 2013, Von's sister would tweet at KI saying that Von had asked her to go and visit him in jail, with Von's sister later suggesting that she had even had a fistfight with KI and saying that she will see her on 63rd, perhaps for another fight. When Von was released from jail in 2014, he would tweet at KI and ask if she missed him, with her replying, asking when they're meeting up, and adding 4 gun emojis, with Von expressing disappointment that KI didn't come and see him in jail like he'd asked. Now, bear in mind, tweeting at KI was one of the first things that Von did upon getting out of jail. He tweeted her twice before he had tweeted at Chief Keef or any of his actual friends from O-Block. He was obsessed, but KI would continue to mock Von, asking him how it felt for his friends to die while he was in jail, even retweeting Von's own tweet saying rest in peace J Money, and going on to insult him in a tweet of her own. This was a reference to Von's friend J Money from O-Block, who had been killed in September 2013 whilst he was in jail, with Von retaliating, saying rest in piss to Crack and Modell, with Von even later tweeting that he can't be mad at women unless they're ops, in which case they can die, and another tweet saying how desperate he was to catch a female op. Von and KI would tweet at each other much less in 2014, perhaps because Von was looking to reduce the paper trail leading to him if KI wound up dead. But in the days following Little Mark's death in April 2014, Von would release some brazen tweets. On the 1st of April, he would tell a friend that he would never start rapping and that he prefers killing ops, and tweeting that he had bodies on his gun. On the 6th of April, KI would tweet saying, people won't get the picture until you put them in the frame, along with a gun emoji. That same day, Von would tweet saying, "If you're not where I'm from, you will get killed." That was followed the next day by Von tweeting that he was always looking for a woman and he can't find her, and saying he will stop looking and let her look for him. He would then go on to tweet on the 10th of April that there's some women he would do anything for, telling her to just hit his line. That would be followed by another tweet saying if a girl leaves him, then she's leaving the best, with it unclear if he's talking about her leaving him or her leaving this earth. That was followed by more tweets where Von would say if a girl is with the ops, then she's getting shot, and that he's not playing with op girls this summer and they should watch out. In the early hours of the next morning, KI would make the ominous tweet, "In the end, we die," as well as tweeting her apparent location just off 63rd. Later that afternoon, KI would be standing on a nearby porch in the 6400 block of South Eberhart Avenue, only a 3-minute walk towards O Block from the location that she had tweeted she was at earlier that day. And that was the day that King Von would allegedly find that woman that he had been looking for all this time, as KI would indeed be gunned down on April the 11th, 2014. The murder report on KI's death would feature a witness describing the shooter who hopped out of a car, catching KI and another man who were about to shoot dice. They would run into a gangway, but the shooter kept firing, apparently even shouting, "Yeah, bitch-ass N-words," as he fired the handgun at KI multiple times. She would be shot 9 times and declared dead just 2 hours later.
For Chantel Brown, the statistics are more than just numbers. Within 12 short hours across Chicago, 14 people were wounded, 2 people killed, one of them being Brown's oldest child.
I'm just going to miss her presence. She was a very, very beautiful, well-known, lovely girl.
17-year-old Jakira Barnes loved basketball, her friends, and being with family. It's still under investigation what exactly happened Friday afternoon in the 6400 block of South Eberhart, but neighbors say Barnes and a friend were walking along the sidewalk when a gunman started firing.
When the bullet hit, it was so powerful, she fell on the step.
Residents who do not want to be identified say Barnes fought to live, but had been shot at least 9 times.
In the jaw, in the neck, and in the chest, and in the leg. 9 times, they said.
Barnes was transported to Northwestern where she died, and tragically for this neighborhood, it wasn't the first child lost to gunfire.
And Von would go on to tweet just hours after KI was pronounced dead, saying that he loves his gang and they love him, before tweeting, "Mad that nobody misses him." And this was followed by people confirming that KI had been killed. O-Block veteran Jay Hood would reveal in a Cam Capone interview many years later that Von came back to O-Block and told him what he'd done immediately after the murder.
But he literally say just like this, I'm looking straight, he meant why I just run up on KI and why I just ran up on them and caught KI. She was the last one running out of the gate. I was like, no way.
The day after the hit, Black Disciple rapper Lil Reese would tweet Von's catchphrase saying that he does his thing, seemingly a congratulatory post to Von, who replied saying, "You gots to." Von would later tweet that he needs a real bitch, and over the next few days, he would once again deliver a flurry of activity on Twitter, tweeting that his ops don't scare him and that the whole gang war is funny to him. He would say that he's lost a lot of friends, so his enemies must die in retaliation. Von would also tweet saying that people wouldn't believe the things that he does in the streets and saying that he will never tell. Von would even copy KI's earlier tweet from the week before her murder about people not getting the picture until you put them in the frame, as well as tweeting at her saying he misses his old girl. Von was clearly in a celebratory mood following the murder of KI, and he would go on to make post after post referencing the ongoing gang war, posting tributes to T-Roy, telling his incarcerated friend that he was going crazy on the streets while he was locked up. Von was seemingly proud of himself for all he was achieving in the streets at this point. He would seemingly update his body count to 6, openly tweeting "homicide in the air" and that he made 6 people extinct for playing hard. Von would even post his own mugshot saying they should have never freed him because he's a menace. He tweeted that he put people's brains in their lap and asked his followers if they would still be there for him when he gets 100 years in jail. Von would suggest that he is only competing in kill counts with T-Roy, suggesting that those two were the most deadly people in the streets at this time. And he would claim to wake up in the morning thinking of nothing but killing people. Other rappers and well-known figures around Chicago drill would continue to tweet congratulating King Von after this murder. People like Lil Reese, Boss Top, and Von would also tweet on April the 28th that there's only 2 places for a man like him, presumably jail or hell. Clearly, he must have had an inkling, as he would end up being picked up in connection to the murder the following day on the 29th of April. But Von would never be formally charged with KI's murder. He would deny even knowing her and would initially offer to do a polygraph test, as well as providing a loose alibi, relying on a woman claiming that she had been with him the entire day of the murder. Combine that with the fact that Von had apparently checked in with his parole
People trying to be
officer
slick,
just an
bro.
hour before the
Nigga
murder
got away with hella
worked in his
murders, bro.
favor, despite
They
the
waited
crime
till
scene
after he
being
died
only
to
35 minutes from the
put a
parole office,
charge
meaning that
his
Von
case
had
full
over
case
25 minutes spare to get there and kill KI immediately after signing in with his PO.
They
As a
say-
result of these slick
so internet
maneuvers,
saying that
Von
he
would
killed
indeed be released the
KI,
next
and
day
people
and
saying
face
that
no further consequences in
he
this
killed KI.
situation.
Rumors,
And he would
no
tweet that he
facts.
beat that case like
Chicago
Rocky
police saying
and that he was in a good mood, showing love to everyone but the ops. That was followed by him tweeting laughing faces and saying that he was grateful to be free and that he's too real. A few days later, Von would be tweeting that he beats bodies and that he doesn't plan on going to prison, as well as seemingly referencing KI's resemblance to Snoop from The Wire and calling her a dead op. Years later, Von would even go on to brag about killing KI on songs after he started rapping, famously saying on the track War With Us that he put a pretty op bitch in the morgue, you can call her drop dead gorgeous, as well as saying that he keeps a strap like KI on the song GTA. For years following this murder, people, including myself, speculated on whether King Von had killed KI, or whether it was the work of fellow O-Block hitter Big A, who reportedly went by the nickname ASCII, or Ask KI, after her death, suggesting that he had something to do with her killing. But in lyrics to King Von's leaked song Wait, he seemingly rapped about the day that he killed KI, with lyrics a lot of people believe would allude to Von jumping out of the car and chasing KI down the alley, with Big A being the driver. Von would also rap on the song Cousins that he kills women and men and can't tell the difference. But it wasn't just Von. Lil Durk would also rap in December of 2014, the year that KI was killed, on the song War with E-Day, seemingly suggesting that he had owned a gun that was used in KI's murder. Now, rapping about someone that you killed is one thing, but King Von actually went on to do one of the most psychopathic things I have ever seen. Because on May the 23rd, 2019, a documentary about KI would air on A&E titled Secret Life of a Gang Girl. This piece goes in depth into the life of KI, exploring her motivation.
You know, they had a HBO, they had a documentary about KI. I need to go watch that documentary about KI for sure. And they said King Von was in the, because they called people who knew King Von, and King Von was trolling. I know what he's talking about, traplord. When he was trolling, talking about, I used to get up in her, she was my best friend. He was trolling the camera people. So they probably hit him up saying, hey, do you know anything about KI? The HBO probably hit him up saying, man, he was probably trolling the whole time. That's the most demonic thing ever. Look, right here.
To become a gang member despite being a petite young woman, as well as interviewing some of the people that knew her during this time. And that documentary about KI would interview none other than King Von, who was featured prominently in the documentary. And if you ask me, he was just straight up trolling the TV crew, who clearly hadn't done their homework. Von would appear in the show, portraying himself as having been an infatuated admirer pursuing KI for nothing but romantic reasons. And the fact that the film crew didn't even have an inkling that Von was responsible is just crazy to me. And it's not like the info that he killed KI wasn't already circulating out there at this point. Because while Von is in jail for his next murder in 2016, word of his story as a shooter in the Chicago gang war would spread on the edgy message board 4chan, where a gang-obsessed 4chan member would claim to have accessed KI's private DMs, exposing those private messages which we already saw between King Von and KI all the way back in 2012. With this deranged 4chan user even replying to friends of KI from her account who had continued to DM her after her death looking for closure, with that 4chan hacker writing a lengthy post claiming to have been told by a friend of KI's in the DMs that they believed King Von was her killer. Bear in mind, this information was floating around all the way back in 2016, 2 years after the murder and 3 years before the documentary. However, eventually, a whole year after Von's death, in 2021, the Chicago police would release documents revealing that they believed King Von himself...
Wait, how are you going to charge him after... This is the facts. So in 2021, they released the documents that King Von was responsible for KI's death. The detective division. Detective finally, they said Dave Bennett was responsible. How are you going to charge him when he's dead? How come they didn't charge him when he was alive? They just wanted to put that on when he's dead. They already had that. They already knew that he killed King Von, but after he died, they wanted to put that on him. To ruin his name. The police department, Chicago Police Department, hated him so much they released these old stuff that he did because they hated him so much. After he died, just to put more hate and smut on his name and his family and all that, you know, Chicago. So that's fucked up though. How you gonna put all this on him? In 2021, they released that. It's crazy.
To be KI's killer, with apparently multiple witnesses pinning Von as the shooter, but unfortunately, the state decided not to prosecute, stating that the case simply wouldn't meet the burden of proof to secure a conviction. So, King Von would be released back on the streets after having allegedly killed the girl he had seemingly spent years hunting down. But
Yeah, no
only a
clue.
month and a half later, Von would go on to catch yet another murder, which would finally land him in jail, and just briefly putting a stop to his serialized killings. After being questioned about the KI murder and being released with no consequences, King Von felt invincible. The month is May 2014, and Von had seemingly killed a total of 6 people at this point. As usual, he'd be on Twitter non-stop, hinting at his actions in the streets, asking God for forgiveness for killing his ops, and saying that he shoots first and asks questions later. He would tweet that he's in a different league when it comes to killing, and others need to catch up, and telling the world that he's always armed and ready for his ops. Clearly Von was active in the streets, as well as on Twitter, claiming to be driving through his ops area literally as he was tweeting, and saying that he has an itchy trigger finger. Von would claim that anybody can get smoked for the right price or cause, warning his ops not to come near him or he will shoot. Von would claim to never be putting his gun down because too many people have died in the gang war, taunting his ops, saying he knows that they want him, but it's not his time to die. Von would even repost a viral clip from WorldStar titled "When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong," a video apparently showing a group of people filming themselves going to Chief Keef's neighborhood and getting shot at. A clip that people would later claim was actually King Von doing the shooting. I mean, just imagine having the balls to shoot at people and then retweet the WorldStar video of you shooting at them. The same day as this, Von would claim that he's buying guns with 100-round magazines and wondering who he's going to shoot, as well as saying that he'd been gangbanging all day and now he's tired out. The following day, Von would tweet saying that others wouldn't do half of the stuff that he's done and plans to do in the streets, and Von would say that he plans to keep scoring until he wins. Only 2 days after that, Von would find himself attempting to score again. On the 29th of May 2014, an afternoon party would be going on at 5722 South LaSalle Street. Von would attend this party where he spotted 2 members from the rival gang. At this point, the mother of the person whose birthday party it was apparently told Von not to start trouble in her house, with Von saying that he wouldn't and leave it. Von would leave the party and go and get a friend, Big Mike, apparently telling another person who was still at the party on the phone that he was coming back and that they should take the children inside. Von and Big Mike would return to that party, parking down the street and approaching a group of 3 men outside the house, opening fire. 3 of those men would be hit by gunshots, whilst Von chased them, allegedly yelling, "Why are you running?" And when the shooting stopped, a 19-year-old man by the name of Malcolm Stuckey would be declared dead with a gunshot wound to the head. The Chicago police would respond to the shooting at 722 South LaSalle Street. Von would attend this party where he spotted 2 members from the rival gang. At this point, the mother of the person whose birthday party it was apparently told Von not to start trouble in her house, with Von saying that he wouldn't and leave it. Von would leave the party and go and get a friend, Big Mike, apparently telling another person who was still at the party on the phone that he was coming back and that they should take the children inside. Von and Big Mike would return to that party, parking down the street and approaching a group of 3
He had a late birthday as well. It's fucked up, though. It's fucked up, y'all. King Von was a menace, though. He was out here chasing ops down.
men outside the house, opening fire. 3 of those men would be hit by gunshots, whilst Von chased them, allegedly yelling, "Why are you running?"
Oh, I want to see this. Okay. Why are you running? Bennett had shouted out chasing his rivals. According to Wade's police interviews he had, and Wade kept firing. Wade was what's his name again? That's Big Mike. Hit one man in the foot. King Von shot the other in the face, breaking his jaw. 2 were breaking his jaw.
And when the shooting stopped, a 19-year-old man by the name of Malcolm Stuckey would be declared dead with a gunshot wound to the head. The Chicago police would respond to the shooting at 6:10 p.m., arriving on the scene where police were pictured securing the location around Malcolm's body. Apparently, Vaughn was really trying to kill 2 rival gang members that he saw at the party, ultimately hitting 3 people but only killing Malcolm, who allegedly wasn't the intended target or even involved in the gang war. Perhaps this is why we never hear King Von in his career disrespecting and saying that he was smoking Malcolm like he did to many of the other people that he was rumored to have killed. But there would still be hints at his involvement, because while Malcolm had been laying in the street with a bullet in his head for several hours, only 12 minutes before he'd officially be pronounced dead, Von would tweet saying that he has some issues, but he cannot tell a soul about them. Meanwhile, Boss Top from O Block would tweet that Von is the guy who sits people down if they run up. Now, it would take nearly 2 months for the authorities to connect Von to this murder, and during this time, he would continue to be prolific posting on Twitter. He would tweet that he was on the block with his gun in the early hours of the morning, just the day after the murder of Malcolm, and tweeting that all of the things that people are hearing about are him. He's the one responsible. He would tweet saying that he's killed so many ops that he doesn't have any more feelings. He'd also tweet that it's all fun and games until somebody you know is no longer breathing. And he would tweet saying that he did all of this on parole and just wait until he gets off, with a demon emoji. And in another deleted tweet that was apparently reposted by somebody else, Von openly tweeted saying that he wanted to go on an all-out killing spree. However, King Von's crime spree would ultimately be cut short on prom night. Von would be pictured holding a gun at O Block in his suit in the hours before prom. And he would even tweet warning people not to try him while he's dressed in his suit. Von would then end up doing a shooting in his prom suit with witnesses describing his outfit, ultimately leading to his arrest. Von's last tweet would be on June the 7th, 2014, the ominous statement, "Loose screws get nailed." He would end up being arrested on firearms charges on prom night, and then the following month, on the 22nd of July 2014, Von's accomplice in the murder of Malcolm Stuckey, Big Mike, ended up getting charged with murder and being taken in for questioning by the police. Then, 2 days later, on July the 24th, 2014, King Von, already in jail, would be charged with 1 count of first-degree murder for the killing of Malcolm Stuckey and 2 counts of attempted murder for the other 2 people shot in that incident. Von's arrest for this crime would attract significant media coverage, and he would remain in jail awaiting trial from June 2014 to December 2017. And during that time, his people would tweet from his Twitter account saying that they missed him, asking for visitors to come see him on his birthday, and posting clips and pictures of him in jail during his visits.
How old is King Von?
What's up? You miss me, man? Yes. You mad? No, I'm not. You got the money from mom? No, it's still a whole car.
That's his son.
I'm fixed up. Holla.
Your baby bumper.
Ugly.
And all that.
You just gotta ring over here yourself. But something stank.
But while Von was in jail, he would raise hell, apparently helping to start a huge fire on the wing in April 2017. He would constantly get into fights with his ops, apparently never turning down confrontations.
That's why I can say Von had over 20 fights in that. He was. He talk about jail. He talk about that like it's a rite of passage. Like every was a street like him, he was like jail was coming. Yeah, that's why he was always in that, because he never cared about jail. That's how he was able to be the type of he was in the streets. Because some of these savages, like, and you supposed to do with that in the back of your mind, like knowing, like, go south, go to jail. Well, shorty sliding up on like the police don't even exist. He just smoke you broad day.
Von would remain in jail for an extended period of time, around 3.5 years in total. And during his time in jail, he picked up the nickname Grandson, apparently for his resemblance in image as well as temperament to the Black Disciples founder David Barksdale, also known as King David. It's obvious that King Von took a lot of inspiration from the original founder of the gang that he repped, the Black Disciples. Not only going by the name King Von, but also frequently saying David Barksdale's nickname, often ending sentences by saying, "On King David."
On King David.
Also, while Von was in jail awaiting trial, the conflicts in the streets would continue to play out, and Von would eventually get the worst news imaginable. His right-hand man, T. Roy, would be shot and killed in a convenience store on Valentine's Day 2017. Von's people would post Twitter tributes memorializing his friend and favorite shooter. And Von would later open up about the very moment that he got the news about T. Roy's death while he was in jail.
Yeah, R.I.P. T. Roy, man, that was my best friend. I got that nigga on my neck. That's how strong that shit. I got him gang banging on my neck. That's how hard we was gang banging up. But
with Von saying that he completely broke down crying when he found out that his right-hand man T-Roy was gone.
This my dog. When they get my dog, I was locked up. Killed me, I broke down. I ain't cried so long. But every day, this my I'm in jail. I'm fighting the murder and I call it every day. It's my right-hand man. I'm telling him like, all right, now since he go, we can tell him he getting that. Man, I'm gonna get you out, Vaughn. I'm gonna get you out, man. Whatever I gotta do, I'm gonna get you out. I swear to God. You know, but we in the street, you know. That's
King Von was a cool dude, though. I ain't gonna lie to you. King Von was a cool dude.
He trying to rob all type. He doing whatever he can do. Yeah, I'm gonna get you a lawyer, bro. I got you. You know.
I don't know about all his killings.
I be calling, man. Don't even worry about it, man.
I don't know about all his killings in his street life, but I know about his music. And I can say one thing about King Von is for sure one of my favorite drill rappers. One of my favorite out of Chicago, rappers out of Chicago for sure. Him and Smirk up there for sure. But all this I don't really know about, but this is what according to the traplord Ross and whatever saying he got all these bodies. But let's continue. Just wanted to see if you guys are interested in this.
Just look, just you make sure you know. I mean, I'm gonna figure this out. Just be cool out there. I call folks. It's like it's on like Valentine's Day. You see what I'm saying? I call my mama back. Now she crying and mom, what the you crying for? You good? You know what I'm saying? Ooh, they shot T-Roy. T-Roy got what? Ooh, what? Look at the phone. You know how that for you in jail? You can tell. Hold on. What? Now we calling around. What's going on? You got hit one, some shit. Oh, damn. What the going on out there? I'm T-Roy got shot. Look, this is the thing. Y'all don't know T-Roy. Y'all gotta leave out history of T-Roy. Y'all don't know. T-Roy got it. Further, that's T-Roy. That's T-Roy. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Y'all don't know T-Roy like I know T-Roy. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear he gets shot on, he don't want to talk me like don't be lacking. Don't be, you know. He was on me. He used to be on each other. You know what I'm saying? Because me and him, we back to back. That's my boy. You know what I'm saying? Folks got shot. I said, hold on. I said, the streets, hold on. Who got shot? Who? Nah, he a gangster. He got shot before. He a gangster. I said, the folks ain't make it. I'm pulling them out. I play it out, you know me. You know, you got to play it out. You in jail, so all type of goof ass right? You know, these 30, all of your business on King David. I walk it off. I'm just walking around in circles on the deck, you know. And they put their arm around me. When I'm like, damn, you good, little bro? You good? What's wrong with you, Vaughn? Yeah, I'm good. Ooh, what's wrong? You just got a fun, man. I'm good, you know. They what happened? I mean, they just killed T-Roy. Ooh, he what? I'm T-Roy. They just killed T-Roy. Oh, I got that breaking down on King David. I couldn't help it. They hugging me. These some real. You know what I'm saying? We grown ass men. Folks grab me to hold me. Get to there. You gonna be alright, shorty. You gonna be alright. Oh, hold on, boy. That's my best friend, boy. Somebody just killed my best friend while I'm in jail. I'm in that finna go crazy. Oh, I'm in that. Don't know what's going on. I'm in that in that. Who the y'all? I'm that man. Oh yeah, I'm in that in that. Nah, not my best friend. You know what I'm saying? I'm in that in that. If he get got, there ain't a lot of hope for a lot of because he be. Y'all know how folks see his man. T-Roy. So T-Roy. Let me see who. The guys know. The guys is looking like, ooh, this preaching on. Oh, don't trip, you know. Y'all know this that street. The street watching me like that. I know, yeah, the street. I better pay attention. I ain't gonna keep doing it. This don't supposed to be for free.
Von would take T-Roy's death very seriously. Even after becoming a famous rapper, he would threaten to kill trolls who would DM him mocking T-Roy on his birthday.
Fuck how you feel? You a shorty on, I'll kill you. Yo, as a little boy, I'll choke you out my motherfucking hands and beat the shit out you. Internet shit fool you, boy. I'll drop my motherfucking location on you. Will pull up, I'll kill you for real, man. Yo, ass HFE Larry. Yo, ass a goofy, man. Yo, ass is a bitch, boy. Stop fucking playing me. Go play with somebody else, bro. I'll fuck you up for real. I don't even play like that, gang. For real.
Despite spending 3.5 years in jail, eventually Von would finally face trial for the murder of Malcolm Stuckey. Von's family tweeted from his Twitter account in November 2017 that they had been attending his trial at court. And despite what was originally thought to be a clear-cut case, Von's co-defendant would end up implicating himself and Von in the crime in an attempt to secure a deal with prosecutors, but ultimately backing out of that deal at the last minute, leaving prosecutors scrambling for any evidence that would actually implicate Von in the murder. Allegedly, eyewitnesses who saw Von that night failed to testify, and King Von would even later rap about the situation on the track What's Next, saying that they killed the only witness and that Big Mike was the only one who spoke. This turn of events would see King Von being acquitted of all charges due to lack of evidence, and Big Mike himself going down for 16 years, plus an extra 12 for backing out of a deal with prosecutors, so a total of 28 years. After this, King Von would be a free man once again, beating a body and returning to the streets of Chicago with his freedom and a clean slate. The family of Malcolm Stuckey would later admonish Von on social media for getting away with this gruesome murder and going on to become a rapper. But, as we'll soon learn, Von had zero shame about the things that he had done in the streets. In fact, he would wear the badge of a killer who beat a body with pride. And after killing an alleged 7 people in total, when Von got out of jail, it would be time for a new beginning, as the newly free King Von would take all of his stories from being a killer on the streets of Chicago and put them into songs. Becoming a Chicago drill rapper with so much credibility as a gangster, his music simply could not be ignored. And soon, all over Chicago and around the world, Von's name would be ringing as people would begin to discover what appeared to be the realest gangster rapper who ever lived.
And if y'all like, comment, subscribe, y'all like the video. This is a long video. The King Von's bodies, Traplord Ross, the life of a serial killer. Y'all enjoyed the video. I ain't gonna lie, this video was long. This video with all these bodies, man. I don't know what y'all think. Do y'all think y'all think Traplord Ross is dragging this by just implicating every little tweet that he says, or do you think that Von really was catching bodies out here? Y'all comment down below. Let me know what y'all think about the video. Like, comment, subscribe. We out of here, y'all. Peace.